What is up, guys? Mike Wang here, and today I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin's chart and why I'm bullish on Bitcoin and altcoins in general. For those of you who don't know technical analysis or how to look at charts, I'll be leading you through Bitcoin's chart on different time frames. So before we begin, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe for more content. Let's begin by looking at Bitcoin's monthly chart. Over here, we have the logarithmic chart for Bitcoin's monthly chart, and it's in a log scale because if we take a look at the arithmetic scale, it's extremely steep and it makes it difficult to analyze what's going on. So if we take a look at some of the major trend lines within the monthly channel, the first trend line we can spot is the black one, which connects the two lows of the historical price action, the three actually. So on the black trend line, the price bounces once, twice, and then for the third time, it bounced around March and April of 2020. And then another significant trend line that we can see is the trend line in red. This is more significant in the sense that there has been more bounces off support and resistance. So it starts here, bounces once, and then throughout this entire period, the price moves according to the channel, according to the trend line support. And then over here, what we can see is, remember the bear market of 2018 to 2019, the massive drop occurred when price broke through the support line and the support was turned resistance. So even after accumulating at these regions to test this top again, the monthly candle failed to close above this trend line, and we corrected down to test new lows. Right now, what we're seeing is a rally leading upwards to test this line, and what we can see is that it's probably going to face a lot of resistance around the 75K and 80K mark, depending on when we test it. If we take a look at the indicators to see where we are at, we can see that we are at overbought regions and everything is overextended as well. But considering that it's a bull market and considering how Bitcoin moves during a bull market, this isn't anything out of the norm. So for instance, if we look at the previous bull market, we can see that the RSI had been extremely overbought during these regions and still managed to rally upwards. Same for the bull market during 2017, as with 2013, kept rallying upwards despite the RSI being at overbought regions for a very long time. And as we can see from this bullish rally as well, the RSI was at overbought regions since November of 2020, and it has continued to rally since. So despite the technical indicators telling us that Bitcoin is indeed overbought and overextended, there's nothing too much to be worried about. Another thing I am looking at is how the MACD has bullish histograms that continue to grow, and it's very far from forming any type of death cross, as with other indicators as well. If we take a closer look at the candles, we can see that ever since the beginning of the bull run, which was right around here, October of 2020, the candle shapes have been extremely bullish. We can see that the bodies are extremely long and the tails or the wicks that form on the top and bottom of the candle are very small, indicating that the sell pressure is very weak and that buyers have managed to continue to rally upwards, testing new highs. However, starting in January of 2021, we can see these wicks form on top of the candles, which haven't been existent in the previous three candles. And this indicates that the sell pressure has been kicking in, and a lot of people want to start taking profit at these levels. Despite that, there has been an attempt by buyers to continue pushing prices upwards, so we can see that the body is much larger here, while the wick still stays. And as for the candle that is forming for March, we can see that the wick underneath is almost non-existent, where there is a huge wick upwards that has formed on the candle. If we manage to close anywhere at or above 61.7K, that would mean that the bullish momentum is back based on the candle shapes, but it's very likely based on the two previous candles that we'll see another wick form for this monthly candle as well. Let's move on to the weekly channel to see what is going on. So before we get onto the weekly channel, I want to explain how I've been taking a look at the weekly channel since the bullish rally has begun. So I was referring to the Fibonacci retracement levels because after our all-time high levels, there aren't any resistance levels for me to reference. And the Fibonacci retracement somehow works very well with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, and it has been offering a guidance for me to recognize where some of the most significant support and resistance zones might be. So for instance, we can see that the price broke out of the previous all-time high right here, and it tested the 2.272 resistance, and it pulled back to the 1.618 support. And then afterwards, it pumped again, testing the 3.272 resistance, and then pulling back down to test the 2.618 resistance. So I hope you guys are seeing a pattern here. And what I'm seeing is prices, again, potentially test the 4.272 resistance, which is around 74K, and then possibly a pullback down to the 3.618 resistance, as did with all the previous price actions here as well. And if you look at 74K, that aligns with the monthly chart we were looking at and where the resistance may be at based on the trend lines. So the weekly analysis and the monthly analysis are starting to align if we look at the trend lines and the fib levels. Now, if we take a look at the weekly chart, we can see some bearish signals that are forming right now. For instance, we can see a clear bearish divergence that is forming. So bearish divergence has played out already here with the price forming higher highs and the RSI forming lower highs. And another divergence is forming where the price has formed another higher high and the divergence has formed another lower high. And as with the monthly chart, the weekly charts indicators are also all overbought regions, overextended, and there might be room for a correction here. What I would like to see is how this bearish divergence plays out and corrects before we can move on to test 74K regions. Another thing I want to demonstrate is this analysis that I posted in November 16 of 2020. What I was looking at is essentially market cycles based on the weekly chart, and this is the logarithmic chart if you didn't notice. But and there isn't any data for the price action here, but there was a phase of consolidation that lasted up to 2013 of February, where price broke out of the consolidation phase and rallied upwards to new all-time high levels until December 2013, where it started consolidating again for another 4 years. So it formed the new low at January 2015, and then prices broke out of the consolidation phase again at February 2017, rallying upwards until December of the same year. And then, of course, we had another consolidation phase, and I was expecting a breakout at around February of 2021 because of how prices broke out historically in February in 2013 and in 2017 as well. So I was expecting a breakout around that time in February and seeing it rally towards a new all-time high level until December of the same year. But what we actually saw is prices breaking out 2 months prior to what I anticipated. And so I was thinking maybe this rally might end around October, if quick. So the time span I am looking at for the bullish rally this year is either it ending at around October or December by the latest. So let's move on back to the daily chart for Bitcoin. And what we can see here is, first of all, the moving averages, some trend lines, some resistance zones. The green line is the 20 moving average. The orange line represents the 60 moving average. The sky blue represents the 100-day moving average. And lastly, we have the 200 moving average on the bottom in purple. And as you can see, these are all aligned according to the order of inputs, indicating that the overall trend is extremely bullish. And now we can also see that this trend line still remains intact and has been tested once, twice, 3 times. And with the bearish divergence currently forming right now, we could possibly see it test 4 times as well. Maybe a correction down to this new trend line right here, forming a 1-2 ABC pattern. And another thing that's worth noting is how we have managed to pull back and hold support at the previous local top level. This is around 57.5K, and prior to that, the local top is at 40.6K. So if we were to see this trend line hold and the bearish divergence play out to retest, let's say 53 or 54K levels and continue back up, that would be pretty bullish for Bitcoin. But another case would be if we drop below this trend line, retest it as resistance in a form of a pullback, only to correct down even further, testing, let's say, the 60 moving average or the Ichimoku cloud right here. That would indicate that Bitcoin would rally within this range for a while. And that's not necessarily bad given what the Bitcoin dominance chart is demonstrating. So if we move on to the Bitcoin dominance chart, this is what we see on the weekly scale. So for those of you who don't know what the Bitcoin dominance chart is, it's basically a chart that shows the proportion that Bitcoin takes in terms of market cap compared to the entire crypto market cap. So it's currently at 61.81%, which means that out of the entire cryptocurrency market cap, Bitcoin's market cap is 61.81%. And then you can calculate Ethereum's market cap in the same way, which takes about 20%, give or take. What we can see here is based on the parallel channel that we can form, this channel has been valid since 2017. So it's been tested here once, twice, 3 times as support, 4 times, and then once as resistance, once again as support, and so on and so forth. And it's now testing it as support, but we can see that technically it has broken down from the channel and that it has pulled back in the form to test it as resistance again. There are other zones in areas of resistance and support that we can identify, such as this level here, this support level here marked in blue, and then the other fib retracement zones that also act as strong support and resistance. As you can see, it's been testing the 0.382 support and the 0.618 resistance over here. So identifying this allows us to understand when Bitcoin is going to move sideways and provide room for alts to grow. So if Bitcoin dominance drops severely while the market cap goes up, that means that the significance of the Bitcoin market cap is less now compared to the entire market cap, meaning that all other altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. So if you're heavily invested in altcoins, what you want to refer to is this Bitcoin dominance chart, and you would want this Bitcoin dominance chart to cool down to new lows. And the good news is that it has broken out of this uptrend channel that has been forming higher lows and higher highs since 2017, and that means a lot. So given that Bitcoin moves sideways, as we've seen in the daily channel right here, if it keeps ranging sideways within this zone and the Bitcoin dominance continues to drop, that will be the sign indicating that altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin. So that is it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it to be helpful, please don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.